Letters Across the Sea, Chapter 1. A new connection. Henry, 63 years old, a widower in suburban Florida, felt the days slipping by like sand through his fingers. He had a routine, of course. Morning coffee on the porch, a newspaper, the occasional call from his kids, long walks through his beloved garden. It was a predictable life, a safe one, but it was also a lonely one, a deep, silent loneliness that had become his constant companion. One gray afternoon, just to pass the time, he found himself scrolling through a dating site he'd joined on a whim a few months back. He wasn't really looking for anything, not really. Looking for anything, not really. Then he saw her, Anastasia, 32, from Moscow. Her photos were incredible. Dark hair flowed like a river over her shoulders. Her eyes were full of a light that seemed to reach right through the screen and grab him. Her smile was so full of life it took his breath away. Something inside him just clicked. He messaged her without even thinking. At first, their messages were a cautious dance. Polite questions about hobbies, favorite books, the places they called home. He told her about his life in finance before retirement, his passion for photography, the way his late wife had loved their garden. She wrote back with stories about her city, her love for art, her dreams for the future. The words felt so real, so immediate. As the days blurred into weeks, Henry realized he was thinking of her all the time. Every new message from her was a jolt of pure energy, a lifeline in the endless ocean of his quiet days. Her words were full of such warmth, such humor, such sharp intelligence. He found himself confessing small, painful details about his loneliness, and she responded with a kind of understanding that felt like a gentle hug. She even teased him a little about being so cautious, her humor a bright spark in the darkness. But even with this growing bond, tiny, unsettling things began to surface. Anastasia always had a reason to avoid a video call. Slow internet, a work emergency. She would sometimes vanish for days on end without a word, only to reappear with a heartfelt apology and a perfect charming message. One night, filled with a sudden, overwhelming urge, Henry wrote to her, "I wish we could just meet for coffee, even for a little while. I feel like I know you so well already." Her reply was slow in coming, and when it did, it felt distant, almost cold. "Henry, I wish it too, but travel is so complicated, and my work makes it impossible right now. Maybe someday." A sharp pang of doubt stabbed at him, but he pushed it away. "She's just shy," he told himself. "She's careful. Her life is just difficult over there." He wanted to believe it so badly. Weeks passed, and their exchanges grew longer and more intimate. He sent her photos of his home, of his garden bathed in the Florida sun. She sent him pictures of herself painting, walking down ancient Moscow streets, sipping coffee in a cozy cafe. He found himself imagining her life, feeling closer and closer to a world he had never known. Chapter 2. Gifts and growing doubts. Months went by, and Henry's feelings for her deepened into something powerful. The emotional connection felt so real, so strong. He started sending her little gifts, a beautiful leather-bound notebook, a small silver watch, a book of poetry he remembered her mentioning. Each package was a quiet, hopeful declaration of his affection. Her replies were always filled with such overwhelming gratitude and delight. Yet, alongside the excitement, a new feeling began to twist inside him. It was a low thrum of unease. Anastasia never seemed to ask him personal questions beyond the surface. She always had a new reason to avoid meeting in person, excuses that felt more and more elaborate. Sometimes she would mention needing money for travel documents, for unexpected fees, for some sudden health emergency. Henry tried to justify it. He was just helping someone he cared about, someone he trusted completely. He told himself her age, the distance, her occasional silence, none of it mattered. The feeling, the connection, that was the real thing. It had to be. One night, late, he sat at his desk, staring at her latest message. She had mentioned needing money for a visa. Just a few weeks, and she could come visit him. He felt a rush of hope mixed with that familiar, nagging dread. Why is travel so complicated? Why couldn't they just have one simple video call? His friends saw the change in him. At lunch one day, he confessed to his best friend George. I just don't know what's real anymore. She's incredible, but it's all so confusing. George just looked at him, his eyebrow raised. Henry, sometimes a scam is disguised as charm. Don't ignore the signs, buddy. Henry just shook his head, brushing off his friend's worry. It's love, or something close to it, he told himself. He had to believe in her. Then came the day he insisted on a video call. He was so excited, so full of hope. But Anastasia vanished for a full week. When she finally replied, her message was short and sharp, like a slap in the face. Henry, I cannot meet you. I am sorry. I am sorry. I am sorry. I hope you understand. Shock, confusion, and a crushing heartbreak washed over him. He felt a sickening twist in his gut. This wasn't right. He dug through forums, social media, news articles about international dating and correspondence. What he found made his stomach flip over. So many stories, so many reports describing agencies that created fake profiles of young Russian women, luring in older men from other countries. The profiles were designed to solicit gifts and money, a carefully engineered web of emotional manipulation. A crushing, heavy realization settled over him. Every story Anastasia had told, every request for money, every delay, it had all been a lie. It had all been a lie. A carefully orchestrated, ruthless lie. She wasn't real. Their relationship had been a transaction, a cruel and elaborate scheme to exploit his deepest desire for connection. Chapter 3, Acceptance and Reflection. Henry sat slumped in his chair, staring at the ceiling. The betrayal felt like a fresh, raw wound, humiliating and painful. But through the wreckage of his feelings, a strange, stark clarity began to emerge. He hadn't been betrayed by a person. He had been tricked by a system that fed on loneliness. He sat for what felt like an eternity, letting the hot, angry shame burn through him. Then he stood, walked out onto his porch, and let the warm, thick Florida evening air wrap around him. The sun was a soft, fading orange, sinking below the horizon. Birds sang in the distance. Life was still out there, waiting, real and breathing. A small, sad smile touched his lips. Yes, he had been foolish, but at least he had trusted. At least he had opened his heart. He made a quiet vow to himself, in the fading light. He would be more careful. He had to be, but he would never let this cruel deception stop him from seeking out real connection, real friendship, real love. Genuine people existed in the world, and he would find them. The next morning, Henry wrote a new message, not to Anastasia, but to a friend he hadn't spoken to in years. He suggested a casual lunch. He smiled, picturing them laughing over old memories. Then, he started searching for local clubs and interest groups, places where real conversations happened, where people met face to face. The wound was still tender, but a fragile hope was already beginning to bloom. Henry knew that life after 60 could still surprise him, in good ways and in bad ways. But the choice to live it fully, to trust wisely, to reach out to the world, that choice was still, and always would be, firmly in his hands.